welcome back. I hope you enjoyed or were stimulated by the film. I think we covered a great deal of very interesting ground, and I think we have some questions that certainly, Andy, you will be very happy to address. And just a quick thank you all for being with us tonight. It's really helpful to us.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for watching. One of the questions that came up fairly quickly, I think, is the question about what would happen to the donkeys if tractors took over. I think the first thing to say, and I think it's a sad thing, but it's going to be a long time before tractors take over completely. We're still working on a solution that's going to satisfy the kiln owners. As you saw from the film, the donkeys are very good at what they do, incredibly good at what they do. And to find a machine that does what they do is going to be very difficult. What I can say is that all the other processes within the kiln have been mechanized. So there's a real willingness to mechanize. It's just this last process that is very heavily reliant on donkeys, which stops that process being mechanized. So, in a number of years, I think, to be honest with you, to make it happen, it's going to require a complete rebuild of the kilns. You saw one kiln in that film. There are 120 kilns exactly the same in that very area. And those are the kilns that we service. So you can imagine the cost of knocking them all down and building them again. So that's probably not a viable option. If we get to that stage quicker than I can hope, then what normally happens with the donkeys when they're exhausted, when they're tired, when they're no longer able to work, is they go to the farm and either retired on the farm where they'll just, sort of live the rest of their days, or they'll work on the farm. And working on the farm is much easier than working in the brick kilns. Sadly, there are no sanctuaries there that we can put them in at the moment, and we'd need a very, very large sanctuary for all the donkeys that come out of the brick kilns. But again, I'm not saying that's not possible, but at the moment, we haven't. It's not something we've been able to consider.
Is it worth mentioning, though, Andy, that certainly I observed it, and I'm sure Andrew did, in the 3 visits that we have made to the brick kilns, that Dr. Jaman and Islam are increasing the compassion towards the donkeys. I mean, it's always a difficult situation when you have humans who are suffering as well in terms of pressure for work and etc. But the level of compassion is developing and becoming more of a daily event than actually ignoring the poor donkeys and beating them unnecessarily. I was very aware of that.
Yeah, and they are becoming more aware of the needs of the donkeys, and that's through the education we're providing. So yes, they understand what the donkeys need more now. They even understand how they can prevent injuries, harness wounds. They know how to build up body strength, prevent the hooves from getting damaged. So there's a huge amount of awareness creeping in.
That's profound as well, actually. Isn't it? And it was interesting in this third film that we could see mechanisation take hold. This one example of mechanisation, but it wasn't at the expense of the evolving care. The evolving care was working hand in hand with the mechanisation. So the whole flow of animal welfare is hopefully all going in the right direction.
Indeed, absolutely, yeah.
Absolutely. I've got another question here. Do the donkeys have access to water while waiting for the next job? Just a quick aside here. The donkey, which is connected actually, but the donkeys work from 4 a.m. in the morning till about midday, and then the heat starts ramping up. So they're not working in the hottest part of the day. I think that's important to say. Do they have access to water? It's one of the things that the team are encouraging the stockmen to provide during the working day. They held a session recently, a training session with stockmen and some of the drivers. And, that was very much a feature that came out through that training, that they themselves understand the need for donkeys to have food and water whilst they're working, because donkeys need constant feed. So yes, I mean it's not necessarily in every kiln, but it's one of the things we're working towards. Any questions? Just whilst I'm looking through these questions, I think another thing to say is that I think Shaban was talking about the number of kilns that have now gone to either yellow or green, and I've got a sort of an update from which came in yesterday. So currently, out of 120 kilns, 45 are now classified as green,
God.
50 as amber, and 25 as red. Now, the 50 amber kilns would have been green initially. You know, if you go back to 2023 when we started, that would have been our green category. But because they've improved the standards so much, you know, obviously we now classify what would have been a green then as amber. And probably the reds are nowhere near the reds that we would have seen in 2023 as well. And it's a constantly moving target. So the green is always going to have higher standards, same with amber, same as red.
I mean, that's a massive change in 3 years.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the most amazing thing is that, yeah, the standards are improving, but when we first went out there were very few green kilns.
Yeah.
And obviously green then is probably a little different now, but the reds were very red. You know, there was some
absolutely
appalling stuff happening there. So
Yeah.
in 3 years, this has been an amazing evolution.
Yeah.
You know, it's testament to your team because we see a lot of things in the films we make, and sometimes we don't get a resolution in any period of time. But to see something positively evolve in 3 years, and I know there's a lot more work to do.
Yeah.
But it's encouraging and just showcases that boots on the ground can make a huge difference.
Absolutely.
Huge difference.
Yeah.
So we've got another question, which is, what are your plans for your work in Egypt in the future? So let me just quickly cover the kilns, what's happening in the kilns at the moment. So this year we're putting in 10 first aid boxes into 10 of the kilns. This is where the stockmen have shown a talent, I suppose, for treating, you know, minor ailments and wounds and things like that. So we're putting 10 first aid kits in to support that. And those stockmen will go to other kilns as well. They won't just stay at their own kiln. And also we've trained up, we've got 10 farriers being trained at the moment, but we've got 3 that are now working in their own right as farriers around the kilns, providing a service to the kiln owners, trimming feet, because feet is one of the biggest issues we see, and it was taking our team a lot of time to deal with that. But now we have these 3 farriers going around providing this service, and it's a service that the kilns pay for themselves. Before, that service wasn't there. You know, nobody was willing or able or skilled enough to do that work. Now we have those 3 and hopefully 10 in the future. That means that we can not pull out of LSAF kilns. It means we can reduce our coverage of LSAF kilns and look at groups of other kilns in the nearby area. So there's a group of kilns called Gerza kilns, and I think there's about 30 there, and another one, I think it's Kaffa Hamit, where there's 40 kilns. So our team will now start working on the donkeys and actually the mules. We've got mules in these kilns too, so they'll start working in those kilns. There are about 1,000 kilns in Egypt altogether. Some are serviced by the charities, thank goodness, so we don't have to aim for all 1,000. We're only doing the kilns that have never had any veterinary services. So that's the kilns. On top of the kilns, we're training vet students and qualified veterinary surgeons, and it's about upskilling them in their knowledge of donkeys and working equids. We're hopefully this year we're going to be launching a 3rd mobile clinic, which is going to service the community. Donkeys are used a lot in farming. You see most farms in Egypt, in the rural parts of Egypt, and it's mainly rural in Egypt. You know, most farms have got donkeys that are used for ploughing, used for harvesting and taking the crops to market or wherever. So that's another element of our work that we're rolling out hopefully next year.
Can I ask a question, Andrew?
Yeah.
Does word of mouth move on to the other kilns that you're going to be working on? So do they get a sense of the achievement that LSAF has reached, and is that something that they hopefully will want to emulate?
Yeah, we've had approaches from many other kilns. Yeah, I mean some of them way outside of the area where we're currently working.
Right.
So yes, our team are getting recognised for their skills, and you know, I think we covered it in the film. Really, you asked the question, you know, about do they care about their animals, and you know, it is very much an economic thing. But yeah, I mean, they don't want injured animals because you know, injured animals don't provide the work that they want, exactly. Sadly. But yeah,
it was interesting in the last film we made. In contrast to the first, the young kids, and it's a terrible place for them, but the young kids were really hitting the donkeys hard. I mean, whipping them. Yeah. Seriously. I mean, the marks, the lesions, the sloughing of skin. It was awful. But what was evident in the kiln we went to last year, the third time, they're sort of holding the stick up, but not doing anything with it. Yeah. And the sticks are no longer sticks. They're almost like those pool noodles. Yeah. They have no real weight. They're just kind of a bit more of a totem, really, than anything else. And that's quite significant.
That's right. And also you see them hitting the harness rather than hitting the donkey, which is good. But, you know, I've seen Maharam and Hamed, who are the two farriers you might have seen in the film. They're brilliant, absolutely brilliant. But they have such a skill in terms of, you know, relating messages to the children. And it's really having an impact. You know, the children are listening to them and taking it all on boards. And hopefully, you know, they will take those messages outside of the kiln and spread them wider.
And they're not bad kids. This is the interesting thing. We spent a lot of time with the kids, didn't we? And they were charming. They're open to be taught a different way. They just hadn't at that point.
Absolutely.
And teaching the kids compassion, it's good. It's good. I mean, again, you know, we've seen it in other places in the UK. You know, where compassion is taught, they will relate that to humans as well as animals. Yeah. So that's really important. Yeah. I've got another question here about how do you protect your emotional health from the horrors that you're exposed to. I think just seeing what we've seen tonight.
I think so.
You know, you see those improvements.
I think also, certainly from my own point of view, what I tend to do is I park my emotional response, because what is most important is not how I feel about it, it is how the animal is being treated and how the animal feels about it. So whenever I'm asked that question, my first response is that the most important thing is to focus on the animal, and however I feel, the animal feels worse. So that's my way of dealing with that kind of thing, if that's an answer that makes any sense.
And the job from our point of view is to, in as a real and as honest a way as possible, show people what's happening on the ground, the good and the bad, without any embellishment, without any sensationalism, you know, without anything to garner clickbait or anything like that, but also be honest about what's happening. A lot of the time, the people who are creating the issues for the animals don't know any better. They are culturally embedded in something that means that they treat animals in that way.
Yes, absolutely.
The amazing thing is when you guys go in on the ground and have a conversation with them and start teaching them a different way, they do respond to that. And that is a huge win. And, you know, we always say it, don't we? It's, you know, education and compassion are the two greatest saviours in animal welfare.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have another question. Somebody's asking, in terms of green, is there a benefit on it? I think the RAG scoring, the red, amber, green scoring, is really for our own purposes. So it's to help us measure each of the kilns. the kiln owners won't understand it, I'm sure, but and we do applaud them, we do celebrate when they reach a certain standard, but we don't necessarily discuss green, amber, and red with them. This is really for our own use, so that we can see that there's an improvement happening. But a good question, though. Great question.
It was interesting as well, isn't it, seeing how the technology's evolved? Because I distinctly remember, I think it was Dr. Shaban who brought out a mobile X-ray machine.
Yeah.
I mean, that would have been unheard of 3-4 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there was a mobile X-ray machine, and he immediately got the results of something that otherwise would have embedded and been catastrophic for that donkey's life. And there it was, dealt with in minutes. Amazing.
I remember the days in the dark room developing X-rays. Oh my goodness me, what a horrible experience. Yeah, but now it's all digital.
It's incredible.
Amazing,
It's incredible. Yeah.
We've supplied the Egypt team especially with lots of different tools, like the X-ray machine. They've got ultrasound. They have mechanical teeth rasps. They are just absolutely brilliant. We get those supplied from the UK, and they just cut the time down in terms of managing dental issues. And dental issues in donkeys are absolutely, they're critical. It's key to make sure that the teeth are well looked after. But technology is really helping us to do more in a shorter space of time.
Absolutely. And you mentioned the farriers, but the farriers it's amazing to watch the farriers.
They're fantastic, aren't they? Yeah.
And I think it was the second time we went. The chap who has now got a new trade for himself to make the harnesses.
Yeah.
And this guy we're watching, and he's
Saeed,
that's it, and he's using his toes, hands, toes, every limb he was using to make this harness. I mean, it was such incredibly skilled work that didn't exist 3 years ago.
And he's now servicing all those kilns and probably more kilns as well.
Yeah, business.
We've got another question. Do the kiln owners see an economic benefit to welfare improvements? Yeah, they do, definitely. As I said before, a healthy donkey will... it's a sad fact, but a healthy donkey will work harder. I think, as well as making them healthier, it's all about education, and it's all about making sure that, the kiln owners understand the need for the donkeys to rest as well. So they may be working harder, but maybe they need to also rest them. So we've built that into our training as well, so that they maybe use different donkeys on different days. So all of that's having an impact, and it's having a positive impact on the business. So definitely they do see the benefit.
Growing the food as well. That was a really interesting.
Growing the food.
Yeah. I mean, you're in the middle of the desert, and then you have this huge acreage of green, which I found really interesting, because these, of course, the donkeys have to eat. And now they're eating well. They're eating fresh food that they would, potentially supplement their own natural diet with. That's amazing that they're now farming. They're farming as well as brick building.
Yeah, and that they're very, very good at farming, and they've brought that technology into the kilns, which is just amazing. As you say, this is a sort of barren desert environment.
Yeah. Fascinating. I thought it was fascinating.
Which is now a bit greener.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
amazing.
So, how did you come across this practice? So how did we come across, to be honest with you, I knew, the question is, how did we come across, I presume, how did we come across the team? I knew Shaban when I was in a different position, somewhere with another charity. And Shaban was a donkey vet, a very experienced donkey vet. Hamed was a very experienced donkey farrier. Maharam, the same, but Maharam was also a kiln owner previously in a previous, job. And they were just such a fantastic team. And I reached out to them and asked them if they would work for Safe Haven in the brick kilns, because I knew the brick kilns weren't being serviced, and they agreed, and we said a year's trial. and clearly that year's trial is now 3 years, and it will carry on as long as there's a need. They are just such a wonderful team, and of course we've got two mobile clinics now within those brick kilns. So, excuse me 1 second. Sorry, Andrew.
You're welcome.
So we've got. I thought better cough on you rather than Peter.
Thank you. Very thoughtful of you. We were just very fortunate, and things worked out perfectly, really. We were very, very lucky to get Shaban back on board.
He is the nicest man, isn't he?
He's a wonderful
Shaban. I mean, he's a patient, intelligent, wise man who can go from world-leading equine vet to a man who can have a conversation with an immovable, fairly long in the tooth brick kiln owner.
Yeah.
And that dichotomy he can manage so well.
Yeah.
He's incredible. He's an incredible human being.
Yeah, I agree.
Really amazing guy.
Really, yes.
And they've built that such a good rapport.
Yeah, you can see it, can't you?
Yeah, but the entire team, the new vet, Dr. Khalid, he's excellent.
Yeah,
and Mustafa and Amma, again they're new members of the team, but they're all completely superb.
Yeah.
And very, very compassionate.
My dogs are joining in on this
We are getting
conversation now.
invaded here.
You can just see the top of Cracker's heads here.
I'm just going to check. Sorry, Cracker.
Cracker's come here, baby.
Hello, darling.
Yeah, I mean, we were very. Oh, we've said this. I remember we were sat in the airport prior to going out the third time, and the hope was that this mechanisation was going to be something they'd embraced.
Yeah.
But we didn't know that as we got on the plane. We didn't know whether we were even going to see this, and it was everything was hinging on this happening. And I remember us getting out the car at 5 a.m. whenever we were there, and it's quite an interesting place at 5 a.m. It's there's a beauty to it when the sun's rising over the smoking kilns. It's quite an interesting place to view, and we saw the chap that you saw in the film with the tractor drive past, and there was this almost palpable sense of relief that this is happening now.
Yeah.
This is real and it's happening. And he did seem to be enjoying the process as well.
Yeah, it was good to see the enthusiasm for it, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was fabulous. Yeah.
The kids.
I mean, I have a lot of time and respect for so many of the men working in those kilns, because it is really, really hard and grueling work, and for the young children who are working there as well. And I was very impressed by the young kids, how they did move towards more kindness. I thought that was a terrific step.
Yeah, it's a brutal place. It is a brutal place.
We very recently, because there is a question about mechanisation. Are you now using machinery? And clearly from the film, we're starting to look at how we can use machinery. We bought the camera. In fact, one of our donors, Polly, actually paid for the tractor herself, and we installed it at this kiln. Since then, we've also put in a rotavator. It's a rotavator type machine, and we tried that as well to do the last leg. So bring the trailer of bricks to the kiln entrance and use the rotavator type machine to move the trailer inside. And it didn't work because the rotavator couldn't get a grip on the sand.
Right.
So Peter actually said, well, why don't you use those mats that you use on grass?
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, yeah, why don't we do that? So we are in the process of buying the mats.
Oh, fantastic.
So that we
Great.
can,
Great.
we can give that a try as well. But, what a brilliant idea.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
But do you know, that's great though, that these ideas are embraced.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like almost anything goes. Anything goes. If you've got a kiln and a kiln owner who's happy to try these things, who's willing to try these things, and patient enough.
Yeah, absolutely.
To be able to come up with an idea and then say, we'll try it.
Fabulous. Do you know something?
It's quite
Crackers
positive.
is telling me she wants to go out. Do you mind if I just pop around?
No, I think
Not at all.
Excuse me, everyone. I don't mean to be rude, but my dog has just been spayed, and She has a call of nature that I've got to address.
She certainly has.
You're still on. I'll come back and see you in a minute.
Good luck. Good luck. Go on then. Yeah, it's a fantastic snapshot of what you're doing, and I think making the film, we were very conscious of showcasing what has happened, the evolution of what has happened, and how far it's come, but also not to say that the job is done, because that would be underselling your work massively.
Absolutely. And I don't want to put anybody on the spot here, but because of the exposure we've given the machinery side of it, we've had quite a few people contact us and ask us if they can help in some way. And I'm actually seeing another one of our supporters next week in London. Mark is interested in car design and engineering, and we're visiting a design engineering company next week to see if we can look at designing something suited specifically for the kiln. I think it's just amazing that we've got a lot of people coming in and trying to help us solve this particular problem. It is a thorny problem. Mechanization has happened in several areas. So, for instance, they use tuk-tuks to carry people now in India, in the pyramids in Egypt, rather than donkeys and horses. So, that's a mechanization project. I think the one difficulty with our situation is the complicated nature of the work. Yeah,
it's and I guess as well, because you have so many kilns, there's a cost imperative as well. I mean, nothing is cheap. Mechanization isn't cheap. I know you've mentioned previously, it's not just a case of buying a tractor. You need people to be able to maintain the tractor, fuel the tractor, parts of the tractor. So every cost has a built-on, somewhat exponential cost. That's a consideration going forward, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I don't think we have any more questions, actually, Andrew.
Okay.
Let me just have a quick... What age do the donkeys generally start working? I think all ages, really. One interesting fact about the donkeys in the kilns is that they're all male, and they're all entire, so none of them have been castrated. So you do tend to get a bit of fighting, especially in the downtime from 12 o'clock till the next morning when they're in their stables. That can be a bit of a problem, but all ages basically, and they will be retired when the work is too much for them.
We've had a lot of comments.
It's been great.
The engagement's been great, and it's interesting.
I'm sorry if we haven't covered them all, to be honest with you.
I find when it comes to donkeys, there is a great emotional connection people have with donkeys. Genuinely, there is a real feeling I believe people have for donkeys, and people don't often realise, what they are. They're desert animals. It's quite surprising that people come to learn that. But it's amazing the support that comes through.
It is amazing, and yes, they are desert animals, and I think I keep going on about them every time we go to Egypt. I keep going on about the fact you must come to our sanctuary in Israel and have a look at our donkeys there, because they are just lovely. They're so keen to meet you and interact with you and spend time with you. It's brilliant. So hopefully we can do a film about that.
I would love that. I would love that a lot, because at the moment our kind of narrow view of working donkeys is the Egyptian view.
Absolutely.
And while that is evolving, it's not what's happening in Israel, where there's a lot more peace and calm and tranquility. So I would very much be up for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ish.
In the sanctuary, but
yeah,
I would
in the sanctuary.
In the sanctuary, I would definitely be up for that, and I would welcome
and many of
opportunity.
Many of the donkeys in the sanctuary have been working donkeys. So these are donkeys that were very much like the Egyptian donkeys, but have completely changed in terms of their outlook on life, and they enjoy life now, which is
so. Are
so
they
good
actually
to see.
retired? Do they actually live a in as much as a donkey can have a retired life.
They are forever donkeys.
Right.
They're not going anywhere. And yes, many of them have retired. Some actually have been born there, because often we get pregnant females.
Right.
In fact, we have one that is going to be born very shortly from a donkey called Deborah, who came to us late last year. She was pregnant at that point.
Wow,
and,
that's amazing.
She will be foaling very shortly.
And those foals grow up in a, beautiful surrounding.
And you can
stress-free.
see it as well. They've got so much attitude. Whenever you visit them, you can always see which ones have never had to work.
Yeah, that's really interesting. That's really interesting. And I think that will be great to watch or to see the difference between a hard-working donkey who is going through this transition of something quite terrible to something hopefully less aggressive by the way it's treated, to seeing a donkey that has got the peace surrounding him or her, and I think that would be amazing to see.
Important to see it. Important to see it.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Are you still transmitting?
We are transmitting, Peter. If you want to come and say your goodbyes, we are just wrapping up.
Okay.
We've covered many of them. I think we've gone through all of the comments.
Oh, good. Well, it's been wonderful to be in your company tonight. Thank you for some very, very interesting questions, and thank you, Andy, for your really informed answers ever. And thank you, Andrew, for your terrific work on this film.
No, thank you. No,
Thank you to you two.
Great.
I mean, for making the film, for your support, Peter. I mean, we couldn't do it.
It's always a pleasure. We learn so much as well, which is
absolutely,
fantastic.
we really do.
And also thank you for putting up with my little wonderful dogs. It was
going to happen, wasn't it?
It was going to happen.
Let's be honest, it was going to happen, and indeed still is happening.
So again, thank you very much, everyone. And also, if you enjoyed what you saw tonight, and if you don't already, please do give your support to Safe Haven for the donks. They're a great charity doing great work, and we love working with them. So thanks very much for joining us tonight, and take care.
Thanks, you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.